everybody, it's Shaniqua here, and I am about to jump into some tarot cards to get us all some weekly collective guidance for the week of February 24th through March 1st. So that's from Monday to Sunday. Today, the deck that I am using is the True Black Tarot. If you've been following these collective readings on Instagram, then you know it's one of my favorites. But if you're tuning in on YouTube, as this is the first collective reading I'm uploading to my YouTube channel, then welcome. I hope that you enjoy the energy of my readings. I hope that the messages resonate and are helpful. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, or you can use the contact form on my website, writingwithtarot.com. So let's jump into the cards. The spread that I am using today is one of my favorites for a week ahead. It's 6 positions, which are energy or theme, and challenge or opportunity, overall lesson, increase, decrease, release, and then I like to pull the top card from the deck once I'm done pulling all of the cards for the main spread positions, and I look at that top card as giving us a little bit of context around the primary spread, and then I like to pull the bottom card as the deeper or ultimate lesson being offered by the energy present this week. So let's see what we got. I have already shuffled and cut and pulled the cards for this spread, and we're just going to flip over and see what we're working with. So the energy or theme of this week is found in Justice. Awesome card. Our challenge or opportunity is found in the Sun. Our lesson is in the Ace of Wands. That's cool. We are being advised to increase an aspect of the 8 of Swords, and that's falling below Justice. That's 2 air cards. That's very interesting. Decrease, interesting, we got another 8. We're asked to decrease an aspect of the 8 of Pentacles and release an aspect of the Knight of Wands. Our context card is the 7 of Pentacles, and now this is making sense. And the deeper lesson offered by all of this, is the Chariot. So just after flipping these cards, I feel like this week, okay, baby, my daughter's in the tub, so she's calling to me. Okay. So I feel like overall this week, there's a need to get clarity and a renewed sense of excitement around something, but that renewed sense is coming from taking a break. Basically this week, just like chill out on your projects, and we'll break that down card by card as to why. So the theme or energy ruling this week is in Justice. Now, this is a card of universal law and cause and effect. When justice comes up, it is a reminder, an invitation to look at your input and compare it to your output. So this is a reminder that energy can only transform. It can't be created or destroyed. And so what you are getting in relation to your personal goals, your career aspirations, your relationships, your friendships, your professional relationships, your family, romance, anything like that. Justice is a signal that even when we don't think things are, they are fair, because we create our reality. And so if something isn't sitting right with you and you pull this card, it's an invitation to look at what might I have contributed to this situation that I haven't previously been looking at. What can I own up to? What can I take responsibility for in order to re-empower myself when I'm feeling disempowered? Okay, and then the challenge or opportunity here is found in the Sun. Now, I think the Sun is often very misunderstood because a lot of tarot guidebooks and tarot teachers will say, oh, if you pull the sun, oh my God, that means you're super, super happy and just like great times are ahead. And it can signal that, but in my experience with the cards, the sun comes up to indicate that something is in the process of being made abundantly clear. And sometimes in that clarity, it can lead to a sense of happiness or celebration or satisfaction, but it's not joy for the sake of joy. I mean, it can be, but the sun illuminates things. It puts a light on what might have been obscure before. So that's really coming back to justice and like, what can we look at as far as, what we've brought into a situation where maybe we haven't been fully owning up to it. And how will that clarity then help us move forward in a, like, feeling lighter, Because the lesson that reflection and personal responsibility and understanding that, I mean, there's an exception to every rule, but there is almost never a circumstance, a situation that we don't cause for ourselves on some level. Again, there's always exceptions, but again, justice is a card of cause and effect, so that's really what it's pointing to. And in the lesson, like I was saying, this reflection is really meant to give to reinvigorate something, because the lesson that we're being offered this week is in the Ace of Wands. Now, aces are gifts and opportunities from spirit. Now, spirit is a fluid term. Spirit could be your higher self. It could be ancestors that you connect to. Just anything outside of our physical realm that aids you and moves things in your favor and helps guide you. And when you pull an ace, it's spirit saying, hey, this energy is here and I need you to grab it, because if you don't, it's going to dissipate. And wands in the tarot represent fire, transformation, passion, willpower, projects, desire. I really feel like the fire element sums it all up. If you think of people that you describe as fiery and passionate, then you understand the energy of this suit. And as an ace, it's a beginning, it's a new start, it is the kickoff. And wands is the first suit of the major arcana of the tarot. So this is really bringing the lessons of the Fool's Journey in the major arcana into how we direct our energy in the day to day. So the fact that we started off with two major arcana cards from the second half of the major arcana at that, it really shows that this week is really setting things up to integrate a lot of bigger, higher lessons in order to bring that understanding into what we are most passionate about in a new way. And in doing so, we are asked to increase an aspect of the Eight of Swords. Now, typically, this is a card of feeling trapped. This is a card of feeling like your boundaries, not your boundaries, but the limits that you perceive to be around you are just making you feel trapped, like I said. So when I get a negative card in a positive position in a spread, I'm always asking myself, how can I look at this in a different way? Because the tarot is not going to advise the collective, you should start feeling limited more. You should start feeling trapped more. The tarot is a tool of empowerment and personal development. So when you think about the themes of this card, especially falling beneath justice, our overall theme for the week, I tapped the Eight of Swords, but justice, our overall theme for the week. These are both air cards, which rule the mental realm, communication. And so when I see Eight of Swords, I typically think of external limits on what is possible for you, based on things that you have agreed to. Now, that could be conscious or subconscious, but all of the eights in the tarot are about power and movement. You think about an eight, it's an infinity loop turned upright. And so it has to do with the flow of energy and cycles of things. And so, in increasing an aspect of the Eight of Swords, it's really just saying, ask yourself what's possible. Because again, we're taking responsibility in a bigger, newer way under the influence of justice this week. And so if we're taking responsibility for the things that we experience, that we manifest in our lives, in a way that is meant to be empowering and invigorating in order to really give us a good sort of like running start once all of those lessons are incorporated, then you have to look at what you believe to be true around what's possible for you. You have to look at programs that you may have received unknowingly, even from people who mean well for you, that say, well, that's not really for you. You're not a good fit for that. Well, before you can do that, you need to do this. Just anything that makes you say, I can't, or I'm not enough. Those are really asking to be examined this week in order for you to move past them. And I say that looking at the next card, we're asked to decrease an aspect of the Eight of Pentacles. Now, Eight of Pentacles is one of my favorite cards of the tarot because I look at it as a signal of being on the path of not to mastery. Okay, this is repetition. This is iterative results. This is work that we find satisfying because of the doing rather than the outcome or the goal or the end of it. There's satisfaction in the day to day. This is kind of like the magic in the mundane, right? Really being dedicated to the quality of your output. And we're asked to decrease that energy this week, which brings me back to what I was saying initially. This week is really about review and incorporation of bigger lessons in order to re-energize. Okay, so if there is something specific that you're thinking about right now, as I'm saying, projects, willpower, growth, goals, things like that. If there's something coming up in your mind, Spirit is pointing you to that thing to say, take a break, give yourself a little bit of time to reflect, okay? Because if you just keep pushing, going, working, without that pause, you're getting out of that cycle. Remember, eights are cycles and power and energy. And so everything waxes and wanes, things grow, things die. There's a cyclical nature to energetic output. And so if you have been really kind of putting your nose to the grind and really focusing on something that you've dedicated yourself to, that's beautiful. But this week, Spirit is saying, chill out for a little while because you need to reflect, because there are lessons coming to you that are going to help you come back even better. And what we're releasing is Knight of Wands. Now, Knight of Wands, some people love Knight of Wands, some people hate Knight of Wands. And it's because this archetype can kind of represent energy that is, I don't want to say scattered, because Knight of Wands isn't necessarily a scattered energy. It's just more so that the combination of air, which rules all the knights of the tarot, and the fire of the wand suit makes this an energy that's difficult to pin down. This is a very goal-oriented, sort of outcome-focused type of character, but because wands are all about like passion and what gets you fired up, and they're very like fast-paced and present in the moment, sometimes people with Knight of Wands energy have difficulties with distraction, because you may be very, very focused on this particular outcome, but if you hear drum beats over on the, a street over, you're gonna go see who's throwing a block party, because I want to see what's going on. Like that's sort of Knight of Wands energy. They're very sort of here one moment, gone the next, and it can be a bit of a frenzy dealing with this. And we're asked to release this energy this week, and it's falling underneath of that Ace of Wands, that fresh, new beginning of an opportunity in the realm of energy and willpower from spirit. And so I feel like this is saying, even though you may have been, really dedicated and working and putting your nose to the grind, because there are lessons that need to be integrated, i.e. justice and the sun, you might not be as focused or as direct as you think you are, or as you need to be to get the outcome that you're desiring. So notice that in yourself, bringing it back to justice, that overall theme where we're able to honestly say, I have caused this, or I have been at the effect of this because I wasn't in the driver's seat. Okay, so don't be afraid, and don't let your ego and your hubris stop you from having the humility that you need to recognize when you've been, a little bit scattered and all over the place, and maybe even being overly influenced by other people's passions in relation to your own goals. So really, really give yourself some time to think about that. It's not something to guilt trip you. It's not something to compare yourself to anyone else. We all have our own individual journey, especially in the realm of like identity and personal accomplishment, which is really a very fiery wands-like kind of energy. Just give yourself the grace and the objectivity that justice embodies when you review what actions you have or have not been doing in relation to what's most important to you at this point in your life. So those are the main 6 cards of the spread. But contextually, we got the 7 of Pentacles, and that's why when I flipped this over, I was like, okay, this makes sense, because the 7 of Pentacles is a card of analysis and review. If you can see what's on the actual card, there's a set of scales, and there are 6 coins on one side of the scale, and there's a piece of paper like a checklist or a to-do list on the other. And this is really a card of things developing beneath the surface. This is a card that says maybe you're not seeing results quite yet, and you're taking the time to analyze and review, like we've been talking about from the previous cards, in order to figure out if you need to redirect yourself and how you might need to do so. This is really saying, okay, I'm gonna put down my hammer and stop being such a workhorse, and instead I'm gonna look at what's actually being put into this, and objectively going back to justice, I'm gonna use my objectivity and practice like self-forgiveness and grace to say, am I actually on the path to success? Am I actually embodying the behaviors, the habits, and the mindsets that will get me from point A to point B? Is there something I need to ramp up? Is there something that I need to do less of? Is there something that I need to incorporate that I haven't been doing before? Is there something that I need to just totally stop completely? This is really just looking at what is and being okay with needing to change course. And sometimes in the 7 of Pentacles, there is no need for a course correction or any major shift, but there is the need for the pausing and the reflecting to make sure that you're on the right path for what you're trying to do. And ultimately, the deeper lesson offered is found in the Chariot. And so this is another 7. We got 2 8s and 2 7s. Very interesting. So the Chariot is another major arcana. So total in our spread, we got 3 major arcana cards. And the Chariot is about victory and success through emotional control and delayed gratification. So whenever you pull the Chariot, think about all the different versions of you housed in your body. I know this sounds really weird, but the traditional depiction of the Chariot shows a man in heavy armor standing in a chariot holding up a baton of victory, and there are 2 sphinxes in front of his chariot as his steeds. One is black and one is white, and that's meant to represent the different parts of yourself that, like 2 very strong stallions pulling a chariot, you have to rein in and get control of before you can actually lead yourself where you want to go. So that's really coming back to everything that we were saying in the previous cards. It's just this week, because the Chariot, again, even though it does signify success, it is a signal of success to come. It's not necessarily saying like, yay, you've won the thing, you've got the castle, and now you're gonna marry the girl and go, have babies. Like, it's more so saying, look at what part of you maybe doesn't want this thing, like which sphinx is trying to distract you, taking it back to allowing the ego to dictate what you can and can't do, right? So pay attention to that. Really make sure that you're making space for the part of you that might be fearful or insecure, and acknowledging that part so that you can, again, incorporate the lessons and messages that it has for you and use that in cultivating the discipline that you need to get where you want to go. Okay? So that's what I have for you guys. I really hope that this week is fruitful and abundant for you. Make sure that you are taking time to really assess where you are in the most important goals to you right now, and give yourself a little bit of a break. Look at what limits you perceive. Look at how maybe you have fed into those, what you need to stop, what you need to ramp up, what you need to let go of, and take those lessons to heart and allow them to energize you as you get back to work once you've done this internal processing. Okay? So if you would like to purchase a personal reading from me, head over to writingwithtarot.com and you'll be able to do so there. I do readings in an email format. You'll get a video sent to you very similar to this one, in which I go through the cards of your spread and break them down for you. You can actually select what spread you would like me to use, and in addition to the video, you'll get a written summary of everything that I discuss, as well as a high definition photo of all of your cards and journal prompts and affirmations in order to really help you incorporate and download the lessons therein. So with all of that said, thank you guys so much for watching today, and again, I hope you have a great week, and I will see you in the next video.